Why he's special? He's a global citizen. He lived in 4 countries. He speaks 5 languages, 4 of them fluently. And he's here in South Beach, in the heart of Miami Beach. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for the invitation. It's great. I feel already special. You know, your introduction did it all.
It's dark. We don't have much time left. Xavier's visit to Miami Beach is running out.
That's right. Yeah.
It's coming to abrupt end. Tomorrow at 5 a.m. you're departing the island.
That's right.
No one knows when you're going to return.
Or if I'm going to return. No, I'm kidding. Come on. Or if I'm going to leave. You know, life is full of surprises. You don't know what happens to you around the corner.
I think, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if you just decided to spend extra few days or weeks. Like, who knows?
That would be great. That would be fantastic. Although the consequences of this decision could be felt
irreversible.
Yeah. So I prefer not to go that far and enjoy the hours that I've got and I planned.
Right. So you came here 7 days ago under my invitation.
That's right.
It was a return for. I did Moscow.
So that was a returning a favor. Good to know. I thought it was like a genuine, free, open invitation.
It was a genuine return.
Genuine return. Okay, I can take that. I can take that.
Maybe I'll cut that out. There's too much detail.
Let's go. Let's move back to 2010. I remember back then.
Oh man. So, you came to Miami Beach 7 days ago?
That's right, yeah.
What did you expect?
Usually when I travel, I try to travel without expectations. I go to the place just with open mind, open heart, see what's going to happen. And this time was no different. And this is the best way of traveling because you absorb everything that you see. You don't want to see some particular things. You just coming here and trying to get the most of it, get the feel. In a colloquial language.
Would it be fair to say you came here unprepared?
Deliberately, yes, that's it. Always go under prepare, and it's like. Be open for some spontaneous approach, and not only in traveling. I think in life in general.
Right, relationships.
You can't overplan things. It's then too much. It's consuming your time. Then if you're not meeting your plans, then you're disappointed. So what's the point? What's the point?
Exactly. Having no schedule, there's something freeing, something liberating about it. You know?
But at the same time, you need to balance it well, right? You can't go too extreme on one side or the other.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, that's why I'm here. Otherwise, you would go extreme. That's right. For sure.
But you need to plan something.
I was like a chaperone, you know.
Yeah. That's right. But I'm not like that with everything. Like in terms of job, or I like to plan ahead a little bit at least. But when it comes to my own free time, that's a different story.
Yeah, and plans make themselves somehow, right?
That's right. Like they say, for those who believe that if you want to make God laugh, just tell him about your plans. And I think that's the
nothing ever goes to plan, really.
No. There must be an element of surprise. There must be something that's going to be like this germ, the hidden germ that you didn't expect to find. Right,
absolutely.
And Miami's full of it, by the way. Miami, surprised me in many different respects. I would divide it in 3 different categories. One would be definitely culturally how diverse it is. I remember this one day when, by the way, you took me to a hairdresser because you said my hair looks terrible, which I completely agree with, but I didn't want to have a confirmation of it 5 times. But anyway, when you took me to a hairdresser, it was a Cuban who was cutting my hair. Next to me there was a Jewish guy sitting, also having his haircut, and then there was the Russian in the queue, and there was also a black guy over there. I loved it. I loved the kind of how all the cultures met in one place. It's like all my journeys, all my traveling around Europe, around the Middle East, it met in one place, and Miami is this place. All the journeys I've done, they all came together. Yeah, all those journeys all came together, and Miami is like a essence of all those trips. Pretty much, that's how I feel it.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, it's like a capital of the world almost. You know.
I would say capital of Latin America, first of all.
But there was a Russian guy.
There was a Russian guy there, and there was a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
But by listening to people speaking on the streets and how they trying to communicate with you on the
Right.
first base, like the initial contact is in Spanish. That says a lot about the place.
Right.
It's like Spanish nearly overcomes English on the regular basis.
Mhm.
So that's just shows the kind of influence that Latin America has in this particular part of the world,
Exactly.
which I love by the way.
Well, you're lucky you speak Spanish.
That's
Not
right. That
lucky,
helps.
you're-
I tried.
Mhm.
I tried.
And you teach
But you're not going
Spanish.
to test me here, right?
And you teach Spanish, right?
Yeah, I do. I do in
For
secondary
those who
school.
don't know, speak Spanish, Russian, Polish, English, and a little bit of French.
That's right. Although I wouldn't exaggerate how much of I don't know fluency I have. Fluency in language is a very vague thing because depends on what skill
Right.
and depends on like you can improve even in your own native language.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
So if you can improve your own native language, how about all the other languages that you're learning? We're talking about basic sometimes possibility of communication. So that's a different breed. But I that's what I like about language, learning a language. That there's never a limit. There's always a chance for improvement.
Yeah.
There's never like
Yeah.
100%. This is what I achieved. 100%. No. In languages, you can always push it and make it more sophisticated, make it more beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's the
And then
beauty of the
there's
language.
this speech as well, a whole different thing. Like
Mhm.
like what actors learn. In,
Yeah.
in,
Here we go. Here we go.
And that's also a part of language.
That's right. That's right. And on the other hand, maths also is beautiful because it's very strict.
Once you get your answer,
Yeah, this is it exactly. And
the
there's
equation is solved.
there's no things attached to it. There's no like with language that
Yeah.
you can put some little bit
Yeah,
of
to improve it,
things
yeah.
here, a little bit of that. No, maths is very direct, very straight, and that's what I that's why I like both.
Mhm.
So here we go.
Yeah, to me, Miami Beach is like a playground for adults. The South Beach area specifically.
All right, that's a nice,
have-
nice way to put it.
You have outdoors gym. You have yoga classes going on. You have beautiful pathway to jog or walk if you're, if you fancy that. And there is cafes and bars and places to meet people all in one little piece of the island, really.
That's right, and it's all condensed, very small. I was just telling you that I met guys that I saw before on the beach, or I met them in downtown. I met them here again. It's quite surprising for a size of the city that I meet people twice, and that's pretty bizarre. To be honest.
And the way Miami Beach crosses over,
Mhm.
but it's not the same city. It's
That's
a completely different city.
That was a surprise to me. I
Yeah.
thought it's in one city.
That's
and
why I
then-
thought you came unprepared. You know?
Yeah. But that's the beauty. That's like okay.
But that's good.
If I read that at home
Right.
in cold, miserable, in cold Warsaw, okay.
Cozy,
So, in my nice apartment. If I read that and come here, well, that would be a knowledge already. I have it, and that's it. The trip didn't teach me that part,
Okay.
but by traveling here, coming here, and hearing it from you, that's already something that I've
Fair
learned.
enough. Yeah.
You need to do the research to some extent, but I think it's better to leave
If
it.
you came here alone, you perhaps would have done more research. If you came here and you didn't know anyone.
Yeah, although that's for sure. That's for sure.
But
then
when you have a very trustworthy, reliable, a local like myself who's actually passionate about the city,
That's
who loves it, who deliberately moved here, crossed oceans, and went through hardships to be here, then you don't need to do your research. You leave that at home.
Exactly, and that's your curiosity makes it that you want to explore the city, and you can actually pass it on to other people that also want to do it, and that's why it's a perfect combination.
I actually learned a lot myself by just showing you around, like trip to Key Biscayne from Miami, downtown through Brickell.
Or remember Ocean Drive? I showed you like the board with four different
that's right. Yeah, you discovered that board.
Four different styles,
which I dismissed before.
Here you go, and that's why by showing you're also learning. That's the beauty of it's a mutual benefit of those tours that you do.
Oh yeah, and I think you learned a lot when you gave me a tour around Moscow. You've been to a few places.
Yeah, that's right.
Like the sauna or banya.
Banya, Sanduny. Yeah, it's the most
Russian bath sauna. Big goals.
Exactly.
Loads of very weird place because you would eat and change your clothes at the same place.
Or you would eat and be
naked butts of dudes right in front of your table.
Yeah, exactly. And they eat lobster. And they get very greasy hands and they've got
wallow in their luxury.
It was very bizarre, but at the same time, when you think about it, like even it was there since 19th century. And that's how people, used to entertain and used to go and have those hot tubs or those I don't know, smashing with the breach.
There was a lot of testosterone going on.
Yeah.
Those guys were macho. They were drinking macho drinks,
but it's a unique experience. That's a unique experience. That's actually same thing. Like I discovered that place thanks to you because you visited me there. And it was again.
You suggested to go there, though.
Yeah, because I heard about it, but I never had an incentive to go.
So I said, I'm in,
And that was brilliant experience. So here we go. It's a mutual benefit. I always say that in terms of traveling. And Moscow, in itself, it was a very interesting
So let's talk about living in different continents, in different cities, different countries. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
So you're from Poland.
That's right.
And at 18, 19, you moved to UK, to Plymouth.
That's correct.
Which is where we met in Plymouth, UK, University.
Yeah.
How was life in Plymouth for you?
Life in Plymouth was divine. It was very good. It was better than I expected. Again, I went there with not much of expectations.
Well, hang on. I remember you telling me a story how it was miserable at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
You were about to leave.
Oh, yeah.
Because you couldn't adapt or something.
I thought it was my mistake. I thought it was, I put the bar too high. It's because I went there to the university to study. And I remember I went there only with £400 in my pocket.
Right.
That was it, and it was money from my grandmother because my both parents were unemployed at the time.
And that's 2005.
That's 2005. Yeah,
2005.
And so I took this money savings from my grandmother, and I went to the UK. By the way, she passed away only 2 or 3 months later. So that was the last time I saw her.
Okay. You didn't make the funeral then?
No, I didn't make it for the funeral.
Well, she doesn't care because she wasn't alive anymore. But I always say if you don't make the funeral, it's okay. Because it's...
depends. It depends on many different factors. Depends on how other people feel.
Well, that's the thing. You go to funeral not for the person who's dead. You go there for other people. Which defeats the point of going.
But you know what? No, I would disagree with you.
Okay.
I disagree with you. My mom reminded me actually recently about the funeral of my grandfather who died in 1991, and I was only 5 years old.
Right.
5 years old. So you don't remember usually much from being 5 years old. And I remember during that wedding, funeral that I was crying as hell. Like I was crying my tears out because I love that grandfather so much. And I remember 5-year-old we're talking about that I looked at my cousin and she was asleep on my uncle's arms, and I got angry that she's sleeping and she's disrespectful for my grandfather. And you know what, like when everyone dispersed, apparently people for weeks were talking about how much crying I did, and that made everyone cry around.
Crying is infectious.
But as a child, look, we're talking about the child, someone who's innocent, doesn't have any strings attached, anything, he's not affected by the world so much. And I was there during that funeral for my grandfather. I was only for him, and that was my last.
You were a leader of that funeral because that's what everybody wanted. They wanted to cry, and you made it easy for everyone.
I wouldn't say. No, you simplify it too much.
Okay.
I've got the. I had to deal with death too many times. To treat it so like it would be easier, but it's too emotional. And I think that also the part of me being religious also plays some kind of role in it. But yeah, I think there is some deeper meaning even in the ceremony of a funeral. Like I know they're not there anymore, but they do exist in your heart, and that's the beauty.
True.
Oh.
So we'll get to funerals later.
Yeah, much later, like maybe in 60 years, man.
Plymouth, you adapted, you started playing basketball.
That's right, but no, the beginnings were really hard. I remember going for the first lecture at the uni, and I sat there, I started listening to the guy, to the lecturer. I'm like, holy cow, I don't understand the word from what he says. What about all those years of education, learning English? Nothing. It was like complete gibberish to me. And then a guy next to me put his hand up and started asking a question. And he was a Scottish guy. And the way he spoke was completely like I thought it's a German guy that doesn't know English like at all. That was my impression of that I've heard Scottish accent for the first time, and then it turned out the lecturer understood everything, and that just destroyed me. So that day I remember I started doing like a notebook, and I wrote every new word that I heard.
Right.
I still got this notebook, and there's such a simple words.
Like what? Give us one.
I don't remember. Really basic. Basic.
Regret.
For instance, or mutual, things like that. Like And after a while, I was writing those words down. I gave myself 3 months. I said 3 months, and that's it. I don't want to. I don't want to give up. I want to try. I want to see how I can make it. And after 3 months, I managed to realize that those words repeat. Actually, those words I wrote down happen again. Then I realized another thing. People that were studying with me, also lots of vocabulary were new to them, because there was like very political terms. I was studying international relations.
Right, yeah.
So there were lots of terms that they didn't understood either. And it wasn't just the language barrier, it was a genuine learning taking place. So once I clicked on those two things, it was much easier from the university's point of view. In terms of socially, it was a disaster. First, it was a disaster.
Wait, so why? Why was it a disaster?
Because I had to work. Remember, I had £400 with me on me.
Right.
I had to look after the rent. I had to look after shopping. I had to find the way to get some money coming. So I remember I walked through whole Plymouth. I know whole Plymouth just because I was coming into every bar, every restaurant and giving out my CV. So that was very stressful, but again, it managed to, like I've learned the city, and I managed to find 2 jobs even.
Yeah, and I remember you working at the bar called
Right.
Yeah, next to Cuba.
Yeah, that was a fun time. One of the jobs that I can imagine myself going back to.
Okay, Plymouth.
Yeah.
Now then, a few years later, you go to Spain. You on an exchange.
Oh, sorry, I haven't finished the the social part. So I found this job. I found 2 jobs. I was working daytime. It was in a coffee shop, and afternoon or evening, night was in this club.
Yeah.
So pretty much my whole day was gone. Plus university, stuck in the middle. So then I really couldn't meet with anyone. Like the first year, I didn't have anyone that I could hang out with because I was just committed to work in order to survive.
But you knew people at work, right?
I knew people at work. I knew people at the at my during my lectures. The students that I was there with. But you know how it works. Like they invite you for a party once, they invite you second time, and the third time you refuse, they're not calling you anymore. And from the from academic point of view also, I couldn't commit enough time to study at home. And
did you easily pass first year, or was it a struggle?
Yeah, it was. Come on, that was a walk in the park. But it was getting harder and harder with every year.
Alright.
Second year was harder, but then I had a bit less work. Then the third year, it was even more work. But then I managed to, I had everything kind of settled, and I knew how to deal with things. So it was a natural progress. In this terms.
Okay, and then you decide to go enroll into exchange program and go to Spain.
To Spain, yeah.
Where in Spain?
We're in Spain. It was Valencia.
Valencia.
Oh, Valencia. Depends how you want to pronounce
you have
it.
to show off, all right?
Well, I can also say Mexican accent and Argentine. No, kidding. Actually, it was funny story about the exchange. Because I was doing international relations and Spanish as my minor. I wanted to try a different language just out of curiosity. And I remember this guy coming in when we had a Spanish class, and he said like, "All right, guys, so I'm here for from the exchanges. Like, how many people are interested in going to Spain?" Like me, and I was the only one. Like
really?
Out of a whole class, I was the only one who wanted to go. It shocked me.
Was it mostly English class? British
people.
Yeah, because I've noticed English players in Premier League, you would think they would want to play in Spain in the same level or higher even.
Yeah.
For Real Madrid, Barcelona. Mm-hmm. And players like Rooney, for example, he's been offered many times.
I mean, Rooney. I loved it when I oh my god, that's a part of me living in the UK. It's just
screaming Rooney.
Yeah, Rooney, and it made it all. That was it. There's a special feeling to that shout.
So going back to my point is that they had opportunities and even more money offered in abroad.
Yeah.
And they didn't take it because they wanted to stay in their in their Manchester, in their London, in their
But everyone's got different. I feel that everyone's got their own reason. Maybe they're triggered by fear. Maybe they're triggered by commitments. You know what? What do I care? Like, live and let other people live. Mm-hmm. That's my motto. And I'm not even trying to understand motives of other people. Like this is
that's good. That's your lesson. That's your lesson
for the world.
Yeah. No, seriously. Like, why do you care? Stop analyzing.
No, there's no point.
Just go to your next thing. You have your own world. Yeah.
Exactly. You're making your own life so much easier.
Yeah. Why do you care what someone thought somewhere away from you, not even in your neighborhood?
Yeah, I remember we were playing this kind of gain recently in my job. Motivation, not motivation, but how to improve your teaching, etc. And there was this one exercise where you had to choose what special ability you would like to have, and lots of people chosen ability to read other people's mind. And I was like, what a sick people! Like, what's wrong with you? Why do you want to read other people's mind? Are you?
Can I try to read their mind?
I chose, yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, seriously, can I? I think why the reason.
But that's you're making the exact mistake that I was talking about. You're not listening.
I was in that class. I think they think that they can.
But why do you think? Why do you want to think? Why do you want to think what they think?
No, because it's interesting. What's their reasoning?
But that's.
I become like them now.
Yeah.
Well, no. Let me explain myself.
You do it.
Let me explain myself.
Now, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
You said you were fascinated that they wanted to. So let's explore fascination.
I was surprised.
You were surprised.
I was.
But
I wasn't even surprised. I was shocked. Why would you like to read other people's mind? I prefer. You know what I chosen? Being able to fly on the carpet. That was for me. That was 10 times more interesting.
I mean,
than
it's quite practical. But if you can read other people's mind, perhaps you can get what you want much easier in life.
But you can't always get what you want. Sometimes you get what you need.
Wow.
It wasn't me. It was Rolling Stones who made that.
Who said it first, though?
I don't know. But I would say it's them, just for copyright reasons.
Okay.
But it's a very good saying. It's amazing. It's actually what my lecturer told us at the end of.
Say that again.
Of the, you can't always get what you want, but instead you get what you need. You need to accept life as it is and try to make the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you need to try to experiment to improve things. You can't take everything as it is for granted, but trying to make most of what you have.
What if you're obsessed?
Obsessed with what?
Obsessed with changing and bettering your life. Moving.
Then you will always end up
constantly
unhappy.
moving.
You will end up unhappy.
What if you find a better place and then you're happy?
You will always find a better place. There will be always a better place. There will be always. It's like with the tattoo. Like, it's brilliant tattoo, but what? Only one? I want to have another one, and then you make another one, and you get bored with it. Then you make another one.
Time has an impact.
Yeah, time it heals wounds, but it also increases your craving. And there's a very.
Or it can decrease your satisfaction with something.
Or maybe that's the way. I love this Mujica. Mujica is an ex-president of Uruguay, and I'm inspired by this guy. Not many people hear about them, sadly, but he said one really good thing. Actually, he made the speech in UN. He said that poor person, it's not someone who has little money or little things, but it's someone who keeps wanting more.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how you can define a poor person. Not someone who have little, but someone who wants more and more and more, and that's also quite a good one.
But on the other hand, don't you think that life is all about growth and wanting?
Yeah, but you
more?
can grow with very.
Or are we
things.
talking about material things, or
you can
like
take
he said, wanting more?
You can take it. I think he was talking about more material things.
Okay.
Yeah. That's,
craving to get better and not being satisfied is absolutely healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Because how long can you be satisfied and happy and absolutely joyful? How long? Not long. Like, even if everything is perfect, you have everything you want to.
Depends on your character. Depends on so many things, man.
You will want to change something. You will want some adjustment.
But some people don't. Like, they want to stay in one house that they live in. They want to stay in one. Maybe it's triggered what you said about the fear. But they want to live in their own house. They want to live in this neighborhood. They want to meet these people. I had the same feeling, or I was kind of disappointed with the people that I used to be in school with, because they all decided to stay. And I was kind of
And school in Poland.
they decided to stay. No, in Poland, they decided to stay in my hometown, and they still playing basketball in the same court. They still going to the same pubs. They still doing the same thing, and I was criticizing it to start with.
Right.
But then as I grew as a person, I realized that was a very maybe wise choice for them. But maybe that was something that gives them this happiness, that they are not distracted by so many other options. Nowadays, you need to be very selective. You need to be able to say no, because if you're accepting everything, you get overwhelmed. And they decided, no, I don't want this. I'm satisfied. I'm trying to build my life around this area, and I'm trying to improve it as much as possible. And you know what? I realized that maybe that was the deliberate choice to stay and work the most of what they have in there.
Yeah.
And I stopped criticizing that way of living forever. Because that doesn't mean that they're not happy. They probably, when I meet them, they say, "Oh, it's so great that you travel around and then you've seen so many places." And I said to them, "It's so great that you get still the same friends and you know your place. You know you don't have those doubts that I have. It's also advantage. Right. It's also advantage.
It's true.
So
peace of mind.
Here we go.
That.
Here we go. And
I mean, if you go to the same bar for 30 years, surely you know every inch of the bar, and
exactly. But that's
very comforting. When you go to that bar,
there is a beauty in it. There is a beauty in it. You know, bartender. You know the people that. You know their stories. You know, and there's some new element coming in. Like there's someone that moved into the
hopefully
neighborhood.
there's a foreigner or someone in the bar.
And that creates this like exactly. Or so your friends coming over from abroad, and it gives you a new story. This kind of life, it's also.
I get it, because I want that life.
In here, you found a place.
Yes.
You found a place.
I was looking for that place, and I always think I found it. Like in Plymouth, I thought I found it. We had this conversation before.
Yeah.
I was planning to stay there for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
it had what I thought I needed, but really it didn't. I knew there was a warmer place with a lot of sun, with miles of beach.
With more palms. Trees.
More palm trees, better shapes, more colors.
Yeah. That's true.
But it was so unachievable that at that point I had to dismiss it to be in peace. I had to pretend it's not there.
Yeah. I understand.
I had to lie to myself, definitely. So then I could be in peace here there in Plymouth.
Yeah, if you repeat a lie 1,000 times, it becomes true.
Yeah, we have this ability, humans, to convince ourselves that whatever it is, it's perfect.
And sometimes it works.
Yeah, sometimes it works.
Exactly. Not
But
always.
one day it stopped working, and I became so obsessed about, about making these changes that it was no one's gonna stop me.
That's right.
I was absolutely. You had to be obsessed because it wasn't a logical decision. It was absolutely emotional decision.
And that shows you how.
And logical too, but it was not practical. It wasn't practical to be logical.
What you said, emotional, it's very linked with spontaneousness.
It is. It's just like a gambler.
And that's why you need to have this element in life. Otherwise, everything can be.
That's
boring.
why you can't be a computer, because you have this spontaneous element. Computer doesn't.
Well, not everyone. Like some people are like computers. Like their brain operates like a computer.
Well, who is to say that those people are not computers?
Are we living in Matrix or something?
No, but seriously, they are on automatic mode. They drive from the same spot to the same spot every day. They go to the factory, they do packaging, they don't think about it anymore. They eat out of habit.
Jesus.
they go back home, they stop at the same shop, they buy the same beer. They sit on the couch.
But that was exactly what I was saying. Maybe that's their deliberate choice. They want to.
Is that a robot or not? What's the definition of robot?
No, that's a person that. Definition of robot. No, that must be a 0-1 system. Yes or no. If someone's operating only on yes or no.
Who's to say that we don't operate on that system?
Because you can say
I like or I don't like.
No, because you can say maybe. You can say maybe, and it already breaks the system.
Okay, but wait. So there might
maybe it's like 0 and 1.
maybe it's either 0 or 1. It's a random.
No, it's not binary. It's not binary system. Human capacity is much beyond that. Quantum physics is beyond binary system. But I don't want to get into too much details.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Because your views would drop suddenly at that point.
Right. So where were we? Yes, comfort zone and traveling. We spoke about. So you moved to Spain.
I moved to Spain. I started everything from the beginning, from 0 again.
Right.
And I love that part. I love the part where you need to.
You just like pressing reset button and starting the game all over.
Yeah. I do. And in different surroundings.
Mhm.
I did the same thing in Russia. It's like listen. Routine is the same everywhere. Routine, it's something that will catch you sooner or later.
Right.
Going to the shop, buying groceries, going to work, etc. But if you can make this routine a little bit more interesting, a little bit different, that's the whole beauty of it. Like I went to buy milk in Russian shop and it's already an adventure because you don't know how to say milk. You need to find it. You need to speak with the cashier.
Right.
It's already this routine becomes a journey.
It's like you travel back in
It becomes
time.
adventurous.
Oh, absolutely. Everything is
So
adventure.
that's why
Getting a milk is adventure, right?
Yeah, that's why I love starting, my life in different places. It wouldn't be the same here because I already know the language, but again, the routine is a little bit different because there is a different climate, different temperature. There are different elements around here. So it will be also quite exciting. Not as exciting as going to maybe China, and you will have to, wow, that's a new puzzle to figure out.
Yeah, that would be really different. That would be like different planet.
Yeah, language, exactly. So.
My sister went to China a year ago.
Okay.
And she speaks a little bit of Chinese.
Yeah?
That's why she went.
All right.
And.
But only for 1 year. She went there for 1 year.
No, she went there for 2 weeks. But a year ago.
Okay.
But she's been studying Chinese for a few years as a hobby.
Okay.
So she wanted to use it.
Yeah.
And they went there, and I think most of them were unsatisfied with the experience.
Because they had lots of expectations.
But maybe the expectations were very small. Maybe like minimum comforts, like air conditioning if it's 40 degrees, and that wasn't available.
That wasn't common. Then you start questioning your choice.
Where they put up air conditioning was, if you're lucky, you'll have it, and it's not gonna work fully. And
man, that's the best business I think. Than air conditioning in China.
And like getting a taxi was near impossible. Like even tour guides were afraid to get a taxi. It was bizarre.
Afraid.
Yeah. They were like too shy to jump out in the street, wave, and like. It was too much for them.
All right, okay.
And
that's interesting.
And
well,
you could go to a shop as a tourist and buy
that's
candy.
That's what I said. This is a new routine that you've learned, but you should, if you stay longer, you should find the ways to get.
I do get sadomasochism. I get it. Like, when you can choose adventures, and you choose the adventure which you know is going to involve a lot of pain and suffering, and perhaps then you come back and you feel better in your home. It's sort of. You jump into cold water.
It's like having those two paths. One path is really nice with the palm trees and it's really easy to go there, and then you get a very rocky and then a very difficult path that you can take. But you never know where it takes you. Like it's a bit of a challenge. Not many people will choose it. But if you choose it, you don't know how you're going to end up in there, and maybe you will find an amazing lake with a beautiful, I don't know, village or something. And
oasis, maybe.
El Dorado.
What was El Dorado?
El Dorado was this mystic kind of place hidden in the mountains. That everything was made of gold. Everything was rich and beautiful, and it was like this oasis in a way. This perfect world.
Yeah.
That's what El Dorado. So.
By the way, have you seen the actual oasis, the true one? There is one in Sahara.
No.
When you have a chance, have a look. Type in the real oasis, and you'll see. It's not far from what they depict in cartoons, and
All right. Okay.
it's like in the middle of nowhere. There's
Mhm.
desert everywhere. And it's low end of a valley, so perhaps the sea level is closer to when everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And there is just abundance of trees and there are people living there. There's marketplace
That's
and
interesting.
there's water available there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fascinating. But not many oases exist. Perhaps a few.
That's an interesting fact.
It is, yeah.
I didn't know that. So we ended up Spain, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Spain. Okay. So Spain was very adventurous because what I did, I started actually living in the north of Spain. So I was in Bilbao. It's
Mhm.
called. It's in País Vasco, Basque country. And I stayed there with a friend,
Mhm.
and her parents found me a job in like a little village in the middle in the valley. It was very popular for tourists, but on Spanish tourists. In La Rioja, a region famous for wines, there was this restaurant. It's called the village called Escaray, and it was absolutely something so different. I had very little knowledge of Spanish at that point, and I ended up in a village where there are no foreigners, and you've got this this village where you need to communicate with everyone in Spanish. Not only that, the clientele that was coming was very high class because La Rioja, very expensive wines. Brilliant food. So they put me in a restaurant to start with.
In a restaurant. In the
a
front.
because,
At the front.
because there was a family that owns a pub,
Mm-hmm.
a restaurant, hotel, maybe some other things. But they're like they've got lots of those things. So they put me on to work in the restaurant. But then with little knowledge of Spanish, with no knowledge of wine, it was a road through hell for them and for me, because it was like people were asking me about some sophisticated wines and I had no clue what they were talking what they're on about.
Not only you didn't know wines, you didn't know language too.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say? How would you try to make the best out of the situation?
Man, what do? You just smile. You just smile, right?
Smile, say yes.
Yeah, exactly. See, in this case.
Mhm.
But they gave me some training from wines. Okay, that was quite useful, but then still not enough for to communicate with people. I remember I was opening wines like half cork out. Oh, it was like, what the hell? They're all
That's
looking.
what we're
They're all looking at me like if I was.
And you had to make
But
like it's not your fault, it's a fucking cork.
Yeah, of course it was. But my the kind of nail to the coffin was when there was this huge party. Lots of very nicely dressed people. You can see that they are, very kind of well educated, etc. And they order wine, food, etc. And I was going with the tray with wine. I tripped over. Wine fell straight on the white dress of one of these ladies, like a classic, and the red wine splat all over. I was like, I think I just stood, I froze, I didn't know what to do. I was like pale and didn't know like what the hell.
Did you apologize or?
In the way that I could, yeah.
Which is English?
No, I think it was in Spanish.
Yeah?
In Spanish, yeah. And then there were two daughters of her, and they were like, "Oh, don't worry.
Oh, that's so
a joke."
nice.
So it was very nice.
Mhm.
The same night, I was partying very hard with them.
Really?
Yeah. It was
So what did you say was a nail in the coffin?
because they fired me from the restaurant and they moved me to the pub.
Okay.
But the pub was even better. I love the pub. That's why I don't like pretentious restaurants. I think also maybe because that experience.
Yeah, the trauma lives on with you.
Yeah. That's it. And they moved me to the pub, and pub was just.
You fell in love with bars at that point, didn't you? Because you.
Yeah, maybe there was something. I was always leaning towards the pubs rather than restaurants.
And you like places where there's a lot of people, where there's.
There's a bit of chat, a bit of music in the background.
a lot of these urban.
Yeah. It's more live to me.
Yeah.
It's not artificial. People tend to be more natural in the pubs than in restaurants.
That's true. That's absolutely right.
But it was very funny. The owner, Eduardo, he was a guy. He was a guy, very kind soul, very, very, very warm-hearted person inside, but had to build a huge armor around him, like very, very fake image of him. So he was swearing a lot. He was like trying to be rude, even though he wasn't like that. It was because he was gay, but he was living in a small Spanish village, and you could never show that.
So how did you know he was gay?
You could tell. You could tell by the way.
Did
he
other
was
people tell, or
acting.
just you?
No, it was other people that also could say it. And I feel sorry for him in a way, because he was such a kind person. He is still, because I actually met him not a long time ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And
Really? How?
I went there for my first wedding anniversary to the same
Okay,
village.
you went there.
I took
yeah.
Victoria, I wanted to show her, because look, it made such a huge impact on me. This one holiday, it was 2 months, 3 months working there. Literally 6 days a week, with 1 day off. And I still love the family. They were so nice, so kind, so warm. They used me, but I used them as well in many different respects, in terms of like language, food, culture. I think it was still more beneficial for me than for them.
So do we have Valencia covered or not?
Not yet. We're still in Escaray. We're still in the
That's
village.
okay. We have 8 hours till your flight, so.
That's the There's so much to say. It's unbelievable, man. So going back to Eduardo, he only showed it when he got drunk. You could see it. You could see it a little bit more, and it was really like upsetting that just because of the surroundings that he lived in, he had to constrain himself of what he really is.
Yeah, sad.
And that's why he had lots of problems and issues himself, just because of that, because he couldn't be himself, and not only because of the surroundings, but working with him was brilliant. Working with him was absolutely amazing, because that was the first swear words I've learned in Spanish. He was swearing like there was like 5 swears, 1 sentence, 5 swears. That's what usually he spoke. And I remember when he was trying to teach me how to change the barrel, in the beer barrel, and he removed it, and then the whole beer splashed in his face. And that was the longest by far swear I've heard in my life. It like was never ending. He made, I don't know, 40 seconds at least. 40 seconds of keep saying different swear words.
Wow, I really haven't done it.
I mean, neither. Maybe he repeated because at some point it just sounded like a Kalashnikov going off. But working with him was very, very good, because it really showed me the cultures, it taught me the language. And then I managed to save a lot of money to then go to Valencia to study. And I was quite, I didn't have to worry about money. I had lots of saved up. So that was the brilliant experience. And if I was thinking about it, if I had lots of money, and I could just go there without thinking, I would end up not having this amazing journey, this amazing travel.
I see, yeah. You went for a bumpy road.
Exactly.
You found that lake.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes the path that leads you through very difficult stuff takes you to amazing places. It's not always the easiest one that can give you this. So that's why you should take the most of what you have, and then sometimes choose the harder path.
It's funny, when you never want to choose a harder path. You always somehow choose what you think is
Most
convenient or more likely to be successful at the time. And sometimes it ends up being a very hard path.
It's
But
different. It's
in
different.
retrospect, most of the time you think, that was great.
I was actually, when I was thinking about this interview, I put myself a bullet points of what are my successes and what are my failures, if you like. And it turned out that very often they're the same thing. It was amazing that I thought something was a failure and then it turned out to be a success.
Yeah.
It was revealing to me. I did not thought about it before, and then
That's
I looked at it, and
interesting.
then I looked at it, and actually that's what happened. So
I absolutely see that.
it's sometimes worth to write it down, and then you would see it. If it's just in your head, then you don't see it this way.
No, every time though I thought there was a failure, it actually later turned out to be a very good experience, leading to other roads and other destinations.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, if I'm here because I was in Plymouth,
Mm-hmm.
I was in Plymouth because I was in Luton,
Mm-hmm.
failed, and then in Plymouth I thought how great.
Yeah,
I failed in jackpot.
Yeah,
and I'll
yeah.
be here forever. And then you know,
And then.
and you may meet one person who's gonna change like the rest of the course of your life.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe they can offer you something.
Yeah, you never know. You never
Actually, it happened to me. I went to UK because my former classmate at the time mentioned that it's very easy to actually study abroad in UK
know. Yeah.
because of European Union and blah blah blah. You fill out these forms and you can do that. And that conversation is the reason why I did attempt and I went to UK.
You never know how a single conversation can actually convert your life.
Absolutely.
That's why you should always keep your eyes and
But
ears
should
open.
you go chasing for a conversation? Should you just
No,
go
I think it's
into this-
natural. I think it should be natural. I think
Yeah.
it should come out by itself, because then you will end up being obsessed with an opportunity that can arise.
Mhm.
And this is the problem. Like lots of people have that. Then they becoming artificial, because they trying to seek an opportunity, and this is not the way. I think. That's my life
No, I
philosophy.
agree. And then you move back to Plymouth, and then you're a teacher of Spanish language. Right?
No, actually, it wasn't like that. It was one of the failures that I told you. I applied for to become a police officer
Right.
in Plymouth, and I don't know if you were aware of it.
You told me once.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah, but at the time it felt right. I want to be a police officer for a simple reason. I like order. I like to keep things organized. My mom was keep telling me that when I was small, I was telling her to not walk on the road, just come back to the pavement. Like this kind of things that, and it really annoyed me when people were like breaking rules. So I thought of that, and so I went for the interview.
Mm-hmm.
I passed the first part, as far as I remember how it was. No, I think it was paper first, and then they invite you for the test.
Mm-hmm.
Test was for dummies, like seriously. It was the easiest test you could converting written like 5th of January to numbers or like silly stuff. It was just about timing, right?
Right.
So I did the test, finished it so quickly, like done, finished. I sat there and I just like leaned back and then just waited, and everyone was still writing. I was like just thinking in my head, what a dumb! It's like what are they still doing? It's ridiculous. And then after a while, I just started being anxious. Like what's wrong? What's going on? It's like maybe there's something else. And then I looked, and there was a last page. You know, when you close the test,
Oh my
there was
God.
still some tasks to do. So then I rushed it, and I started, trying to get the answers right. And I nearly finished. I had like 2 answers left,
Uh-huh.
and they said, "Okay, put the pens down," and then I carry on writing.
Mhm.
Right? I finished, and then they took the test. So they give you instant feedback from the test. So they say, "Okay, guys, so those people who passed, follow me," and they start giving names, right? and so they read the list, and I wasn't on that list. And then they say, all right, the rest of you, there's next over there, and can we have Mr. Zielinski left? I was like, what the hell? Are they going to tell me that my score was so extraordinary that I'm becoming an MI5 agent straight away? And then they took me on the side, and they said, look, it was a very unusual event that happened during this test. Your score qualified you to pass, for sure, but just because you carry on writing when we said stop, you can't pass. We need to
You disobey.
You disobey. And this is not the police. And that's it. I was furious. I was so angry. I treated like the biggest failure of my life. Like how that can have happened.
The sad part is the foolish one too.
But you know what? After a while, I realized that actually I didn't fit there because I was doing this exactly. I carry on without, even though there was a clear instruction. I carry on writing because that's how I feel. Like that's what I did. I was arrogant, so it's like up and down. I'm not like linear. There were lots of emotions involved already. Yeah. So I realized that that's probably not for me. And at the same time, I actually got the place at the university to do the teaching course.
Right.
And I followed that, and it was brilliant because I realized I ended up in the place where both places are trying to correct people, right? School and police. But police doesn't have any hopes anymore, where a teacher still does. And I think I picked the right profession because it was the one that still gives you hope for those people that you're dealing with. Cops don't have this hope. They know they're dealing with the worst.
Cops are dealing with a symptom. You're dealing with a problem.
Yeah, pretty much. So
you're looking for a cure. You're looking for the painkiller.
Yeah.
So you moved to Moscow in 2014.
15.
15? No.
14. No, you're right. Thanks for reminding me. And it was an interesting experience because, like, I was always curious what is on the eastern side of my country, because all I've heard so far was very negative, very bad from any perspective, history or media, politics. Everything is against what they say. Actually, my own dad was he was a Russophobe.
A place known as actually the opposite of fun, free. It's cold, it's dangerous.
Man, that's a wrong perception again. People got very wrong images that they create from media, from some strange sources.
Not even like strange, like Rocky IV. That was like a big one for British people. That's the history lesson of Russia and the Eastern Bloc.
Right.
They saw Ivan Drago. They saw them traveling to Siberia where it's always like snow. I think that actually it was filmed in Alaska or something.
Yeah, that's very, very, very likely.
And Ivan Drago was Swedish. So
what a wrong perception.
Yeah.
No, but even my own dad, like he was very anti-Russian. He was very against them. But I never believed in his way of talking about Russian people. Like I thought to myself, I need to learn myself, need to feel it in order to have an opinion. What do you call it? Empirical knowledge, I think. When you're basing your knowledge only on experiences. Despite of all the negative things, I thought, no, it's time to go see it myself.
And your wife was on board, or
yeah, she was actually quite excited. I remember when I was calling her with the news that I got the job. She was excited on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
First reaction.
When you got excited, what did you do? Did you jump, or was it like could people tell around you that this guy is very excited?
No, I'm keeping it myself. I didn't. Oh, maybe I was jumping actually.
Yeah?
It was in the
Did
classroom.
you do
It was in the classroom. I was after the lesson. It was after the lesson. I was teaching the lesson. The students left, and I think I checked my email, and then I realized. I think I was jumping actually in the classroom. But then I think she realized, what the fuck am I doing?
What, before you went there? She was like that?
No.
Once she got...
Once she went, she realized what the hell I was expecting. Me sitting here in the house, waiting for you to come back from work. I mean, I would be able to handle it, but to be somewhere else, somewhere in the country, different country, and not work. But I know that there are some characters that can't. That they need to do something to occupy their mind, etc. To feel fulfillment, even to feel that they're really doing something. And Victoria is one of them. She needs to do something, and she's good in things that she does. But once she starts doing something, she's good at it. So it was a waste, not maybe wasted, because she learned many things on the way, like Russian, much better than me. She learned the culture. She learned a completely new experience that she had never been exposed to before. So it was a journey for her as well, but it wasn't the kind of fulfillment that she wanted. And once she started a new job, she's thriving. So that's it, really. So for me, it was amazing experience, amazing journey. For her, it was a little bit more bumpy road. I acknowledge that, and that's why I decided to go back to Poland, even though I never ever expect that happening. It was a surprise, but it was the best choice now, even from the perspective I could have made. Okay,
and then you moved back to Poland.
Yeah.
Do you press the reset button or not?
No, that's going back to square one, man.
So
I knew the square one pretty well.
Experience for you?
No, it's not resident.
Because since you were 18, you weren't there. So as an adult, you haven't experienced Poland.
I moved back in 2017, and I left after 12 years of living abroad. Yeah. And
it was your first year as an adult paying taxes in Poland.
It's the first time I actually paid taxes. I had to discover everything.
Exactly.
But you know what? It's like traveling from country to country. It's great. It's like, as I said, lots of adventures, lots of new experiences. But going back to your own country is the hardest experience of it all. It's because two reasons. You either have high expectations because you think that things moved on, they really improved, they're completely different, or you've got the sentiments that, oh, I still remember how it was, that was very good. You remember the good things. And when you arrive into your own country, you realize that none of them is neither this or that, and it's completely new experience, a completely new thing that it's disappointing in many ways. So that was one journey that I did with the mindset, and that's why it was the hardest, because you can't go back to your own country without this, because you already influenced after 18 years of living there, and the adjustment took some time, and it was a very difficult time for me. Like, I must say, the 1 year I treated it as a kind of not mistake, but as a big challenge. And I had to readjust again, and now I think I find myself in there pretty well.
Okay, so though you expanded your family. Henrik came along.
Yes, there is Henrik.
Henrik.
Henrik, yeah, but
with a K or?
Yeah, with a K at the end. But
in Poland, you like K's. You don't like C so much.
Yeah. This is the main. Or I like the diminutive form of this name. The diminutive form is Henio.
Why, is it Spanish?
No, the diminutive form is like shortened, like softened way of saying a name, and Genio in Spanish actually means genius, so that fits perfectly.
Little genius.
Yeah. I think there is a potential. There is a potential. Completely. Completely, your perspectives change, and it's beautiful. It's hard work, but it's beautiful at the same time. And it costs you lots of patience. You need to really adjust, but the reward is it's endless. It's as much hard work, and as difficult it is, it's as much rewarding. It's a completely different world. It's you can't explain it. If someone doesn't have kids, they will never understand it. Only people who does, they really know what you're on about. And I really think that there should be a kind of manual for people. Like it's amazing for me now, from the perspective of a father, that everyone can have a kid. It's shocking. It's really an energy you need to put in it, the mind that you need to put in it, the patience you need to put into it. Like no one tells you about all those things before you get a child, and there should be a test. Seriously, made before
you should have to qualify for.
Definitely, if you do qualification for a car and you don't have it for having a child, so you can create a human being that would be could be a mass murderer or could be completely fucked for whole life, like even like maybe not even aggressive, but himself. No, he could create a painful life for himself. Like there's so many. The responsibility is huge, it's massive, and that's why I'm surprised that everyone can have a kid. It's a really scary scenario, and I think it will finish at some point. Because it can't go forever like this. Overpopulation is one thing, but the way society work,
exams, tests, modifications, being good enough.
It's insane. I think we live in the most peaceful and the most free times of our history. I think it will change quite drastically. We'll have much more limitations on even transport or having children, on the internet. Never mind internet. There will be no freedom, no free movement at some point. That's what I believe. That's why I'm taking my taking the advantage of it and trying to enjoy as much as possible and trying to that's it.
Thank you for making a difference, or at least trying to make a difference and taking big steps, of being innovative. And thinking outside the box, which is very important. Without which, not a lot of good things is gonna happen. We're just gonna stay the same.
That's right. We'll still
be on a horse if we didn't think outside.
Horse, man, in the cave. Back in the cave, we would not leave the cave.
Without wheels, just square bunch of people.
Exactly. Imagine journey. 2 kilometers.
Bumpy ride. On an octagon.
Only the people who are more creative will have an octagon. So pleasure was mine to be here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming over, crossing oceans. Now you're flying out to New York for a few days.
Yeah, 3 days in New York.
So again, no expectation, I imagine, or
no,
some expectation.
I didn't research it at all. I just had a conversation on the plane. A lady told me what to visit, and plus American films, Home Alone and etc.
It's a big one.
And that's this kind of mindset I'm going to New York. It's going to. I'm really curious what it's going to be like. Brilliant, man.
All right.
Once again,
this is it. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening.
If you like the podcast, please subscribe and press the like button and leave a comment, because that will help other people who would enjoy this podcast, who would find it informative and entertaining, find the podcast, which would be the greatest thing you can do.
Entertaining part is